If there's one foundation of marketing, it's segmentation. Taking people that are similar in some respect and treating them similarly so that you can have greater profit potential. But where do you get the information to put people in these buckets? We scrape a lot of it off the web. We collect it passively through people's behaviors. What about the really rich stuff, the stuff about people's personalities and attitudes? That's harder to get. Our thought was if we could invite people to tell us how they would like to be segmented, on what basis they would like to be segmented, maybe they'd be willing to share some of that personal information so that we could do a better job segmenting them.
People know they're being segmented. They know that their online behavior is being tracked, what they like on Facebook is being tracked, what they buy in stores is being tracked. So it kind of makes sense that in a world where people are very savvy and aware of how they're being marketed to, they might also have a pretty good idea of how they would want to be segmented.
People do, in fact, have preferences over how they're going to be segmented. Not unlike they have preferences over Coke versus Pepsi or apple pie versus peach cobbler. Some people like being segmented based upon one basis and other people segmented based on another basis. So there's a lot of heterogeneity or variability across consumers in how they would like to be segmented.
So we wanted to just identify whether people had preferences for how they wanted to be segmented. And in order to do this, we ran several online studies with hundreds and hundreds of participants. And in each study, we essentially gave participants a list of different segmentation bases, essentially different characteristics that are commonly used for segmentation, things like demographics and past purchases and product preferences and stuff like that. And for each basis, we asked them, can you tell us to what extent you would like to be segmented on this basis? And then we also asked them two sets of questions. One was, how accurate do you think this basis is? In other words, if you're going to be segmented on this basis and receive marketing promotional materials, how accurate do you think those would be? And then the next set of questions had to do with how willing they would be to share information related to that basis. So if you are going to be segmented on the basis of your demographics, how willing would you be to share your demographic information? And so we asked these two sets of questions for every one of those different segmentation bases.
Maybe the most stunning thing that we discovered is that things that seem very normal to each one of us individually are things that people tend not to want to be segmented on. They don't want to be segmented on their connections, for example, and they also don't want to be segmented on their web search behavior. And for the most part, they don't like being segmented based on demographics. So a lot of the things that we're doing to segment people are exactly the things that they don't want to be segmented on. They'd rather not be put in groups based upon their demographics or who they're connected to. We were surprised by that. So far, all we have is people's preferences about how they'd like to be segmented, and then their self-reported statements of their willingness to share. What we'd like to check now is if we can actually really get better and more useful information from consumers if we collect information on their segmentation preferences first.